All right. Hello again, everyone. It's another week, another episode of Paranormal. It's been a week. We are your hosts. I'm Rachel, and we've got.
My name is Kaz.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. I'm dropping my. Oh God. First, my chips are stale. Now my earphones are falling out. It's ridiculous.
Oh my God.
Okay. And continue.
Well, it's spooky season.
Officially. Well, technically, I suppose.
How is it spooky?
2 days and then boom, boom. For us, it's already started.
I know. How? How is it already spooky season?
I don't know.
You know what I just realized? We're coming into October. When did we do our first episode? Like, isn't our 1-year anniversary coming up?
You're asking the wrong person. I don't even remember when we started.
Well, I'm going back in my calendar.
We're on episode 48 today, so I guess we've got 3 more to go. 4 more to go.
I think our first episode was recorded September 30th.
Oh,
technically tomorrow.
Yeah,
we record this a week early. So
happy anniversary, sweetie pie.
What'd you get me?
I got you fun stories about Canadian ghosts.
I know,
What'd you get me?
Really? Yeah, I'm trying to see, like, when did we post our first one? Like, when did we air it? I'm gonna have to look. Sorry, guys.
Because we did. Didn't we do a couple in
Well, I have on the September 30th that we recorded one, and then we did nothing for 2 weeks, and then we started recording every week after that. So I'm just gonna take a look here because now I've piqued my own interest because I am a special person, and it's going to tell me. I'm gonna go into YouTube because that's exactly where we just posted everything right away.
That's a very good idea.
When was our first search? We're gonna search Paranormal. There we are, and there we go. And oh nope, that's just our picture. Oh, maybe I should subscribe to my own channel.
Oh dear. I get reminders, which I didn't realize I signed up for, and then I'm like, oh, another episode.
That was not that one. It says 11 months ago. Just tell me, what date did I put that on? Well, it says 11 months ago. Well, that doesn't help me. Thanks a lot. This is now I'll have to go somewhere else. With Podbean, we're I'm super trying to figure this out now. Huh. I am going to figure this out. Yeah, accept everything. I don't to get started. Log in. But anyways, as I'm looking at this, we just had our first public event.
We sure did. Boy, was it good.
It was. Very impressed. Other than my slow ass hobbling through a village. But I still did it. And it just seems to be funny because everybody had some really good experiences and all my stuff was super quiet.
I can't believe, there's never a guarantee, right? But you kind of know the hot spots and you know which one's semi going to be active. The ones I thought were going to be a snooze fest were really good.
Yeah.
And I know sometimes it's the groups, but man, I was like, this is so great. Your equipment was just malfunctioning left, right, and center.
I know. My stuff did not like me whatsoever. The SLS camera was I tested it because it's a new tablet and everything before we left, and a new battery, and I tested it all to make sure it was working great, and it was awesome. And I get there and I put it all together and I turn it on, and it's like, I don't recognize this USB. And then it was like, I want to do an update right now. So it did an update, and then it was like, I used all my battery power to do this update. I'm sorry. And then it died.
Shutting down. But even like, oh no, it wasn't you that had
October 13th. October 13th was when our very first.
Sweet. Well, we're coming up to it then.
I know. When will this one? This one will be posted on October 6th. Oh, so okay. We're going to be recording on that day too, because that's yeah, that's a fun day.
Beautiful.
We'll have to put our 1-year anniversary picture up.
Absolutely.
Oh, I can't wait to do that one.
We'll do something this weekend.
Yeah.
Some poses.
It'll be more like shocked faces.
Yeah.
Holy
the
shit.
Faces of us.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh my Lord. Well, anyways, this episode is all about Canadian ghosts, like famous Canadian ghosts or well-known ones. Ones that when you hear the word Canada or you hear like the province name, you all just go straight to those ones.
You mean today's episode's about
Oh my
goose?
Goose.
Was that a good Canadian accent? I thought so. About There you go. Double.
That's what he's got.
Boo. Anyways.
Should sit on my Chesterfield and put my toque on.
Yeah.
As we talk about this. Just watching them across the street with the U-Haul. They can't.
Oh, is the new family finally moving into that creepy house that's been
sold.
abandoned?
It's sold. I don't know if they're moving in. I think they're just moving all the staging furniture out.
Oh. All right.
Yeah. But anyways, let's talk about dead people.
Yay! I love talking
thing.
about the deadies.
Oh my Lord.
They're great.
Do you want to go first?
Sure.
Okay, you go first.
I'm eating the hardest jelly babies ever. Probably because they've been sitting for a long time. If you don't know what jelly babies are,
jelly babies.
Okay, let me get one to show. You've never had a jelly baby? Oh, I'm gonna buy. Okay, so they're little. These guys, which are like little squishy. They're not gummies, and they're not jubes. I don't know how to describe them. They're English. They're in the little shape of a baby.
That describes everything.
Exactly. So they're in the shape of a baby, and they have like sugar, like powdered sugar coating.
Yeah.
And then they're kind of like different fruit flavors. But the whole thing is
like a Turkish delight type, like
no. It's like a cross between a jube and a Turkish delight, I suppose.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be quite soft, but these have been sitting for a while, but I can't help it. I'm eating them. So the whole thing was, there was an advertisement many, many years ago, and people were like, oh, I like to eat it head first. And they would bite the heads off these babies because they're like babies. And it became like controversial. And it's like, how do you eat yours? And that's what English people do. So yeah, they're quite delicious. Not so much when they're stale. It's still delicious. They're just hard. So I'm like, oh God, as I'm trying to eat this.
Your teeth fly out of your head. Anyways.
Basically. Anyways, let us start off our adventure around the Canadian country. We're going straight west coast to BC, to the Fairmount. Sorry, not BC. I'm sorry, Alberta. Fairmount, Banff, Springs. Wait, is Banff?
Yeah, Banff is Alberta.
BC? It is up. Okay. I suddenly was like, wait a second.
You had a brain fart.
I did. And I'm like, so the Fairmont Banff Springs Hotel. This is the legendary story of the bride. Here we go, buckle up. In 1888, located in Banff National Park, William Cornelius Van Horn, I don't know, had a vision to bring the beauty of the Rocky Mountains to the rest of the world. So he built a very grand and luxurious hotel. In the early 1900s, the hotel, which, as I said, was very luxurious, was a highly sought after destination until 1926, when the original wooden hotel burnt down. Dun, dun, dun. Exactly. They did rebuild it. They rebuilt it much larger in 1928. In 1970s, early 1970s, it became a year-round destination. So before, much like The Shining, it would be closed down for those winter months, because if you don't know much about Canada, and especially the Rocky Mountains, it's really shitty in the winter. So no one was trying to get there in the winter, except in the 1970s. And then it suddenly became a year-round destination, and everyone's like, I love it. So in the late 1920s, this is where this whole story comes about. There was a beautiful young bride. Her and her new husband had just done the ceremony. They were celebrating at this hotel. No one really knows the exact story. He leaves. The newlywed husband leaves. Had enough of her already. I don't know, whatever. Maybe he's going to get more condoms. Who knows? No judging, but he's gone. And she's like, la, 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 frolicking in her wedding dress, apparently. And as she's waiting at the window for her love, he does not show up. And apparently she gets wind that he's been in a head-on collision. Oh my God, he's dead. She comes rushing down the stairs to be like, say it ain't so. Somehow her dress catches one of the candles, erupts into a ball of flames, and she goes tumbling down the stairs and also dies. Ever since that day, people have seen this bride mostly on the beautiful staircase in the front, but also in the ballroom, just giving herself a bit of a twirl around the ballroom, and occasionally in the front lobby. She is like one of, if you Google Canadian ghosts, she shows up like 100% of the time. And that's the only part. That's it. That's all the story.
That's all you get.
There's no names. There's no real fact base to it. But enough people apparently have seen her that it has become legend. And now she is a permanent fixture, I suppose. So you have to remember, back in the early 1900s, they would have only had like candles mostly everywhere. Because I was like, how does this bitch catch herself on fire? But that's how she did it. Mm-hmm. So. And those, the material of those dresses, not going to be great. And away she went. Imagine that. So her husband's just in the head-on collision. And she's like, no. And then she erupts into a fireball and comes cartwheeling down the stairs. People would be like, what the?
Jesus.
What a wedding night. That's all I have to say.
My dog has to go outside and go pee really bad.
Oh.
You gotta go outside already because Jay came home and then you got too excited. I'll be right back. You talk about the next one.
I will give it a whirl. Let me see. I wasn't prepared. Let's go to another hotel. This one is in Winnipeg, and this is called Fort Garry Hotel. It was constructed between 1911 and 1913 as a luxurious railway hotel in chateau style. Ooh, very fancy. It has 10 floors and 246 rooms. It was designated as a National Historic Site in 1981. In the 1920s, again, 1920s for these dead people, rumors began of a woman haunting the second floor, specifically room 202. Same thing. Oh my gosh, this is exactly the same thing. So you've missed so far nothing.
Okay, good.
This is like almost the exact same story. So it was her wedding night, and she's waiting for her husband or to be, and he never shows up. And so they aren't exactly sure what happened to him. They said he could have got in a car accident. Anyways, she puts on her wedding dress, as you do when you're sad, and she hung herself in the closet of room 202. So guests who stay there report the lights flickering on and off, strange noises, unexpected mists appear in the room and also throughout the hotel, footsteps in the room, a very uneasy feeling of being watched. They have witnessed this woman in her bride's outfit, especially on the second floor. And some people have said that when laying in bed, they suddenly feel like as if someone sits on the bed and even lays next to them. One couple reported a woman in a wedding dress being in their room, and they were like, "You got the wrong room." And they had a conversation with her, and then she disappeared into thin air. I think they've been drinking, but whatever. Maybe it did happen. Who knows? I don't know what's up with these brides in hotels and wearing their wedding dresses as well. I guess you only get to wear it briefly, so why not wear it all the time?
See, I have a thing. I have a theory about women who die, like come back as brides or in their white dresses. I have a thing because back in the day, what was the fanciest dress that you owned? Probably your wedding dress. And what were you married in? Probably your wedding dress.
That's a good point.
That's my theory on the women in white.
Now, also, wedding dresses were not the elaborate things they were today. They were very like simple kind of
unless you had a lot of money, it was pretty basic fabric.
Yeah. But even in like in the 1920s, that was like soap book girls. Like you didn't have these big poofy dresses. That would have been considered like really unfashionable. So even if you were elaborate, it would be more just like silk and sequins and a skinny dress. So yeah, so any of these things portrayed these big poofy dresses. Bullshit.
They ain't no ball gowns.
Yeah.
Maybe if you were like Versailles or something like that, but
yeah,
we're in Canada. We were poor.
Exactly. Sure were.
Oh man. All right, I will go next. So we're gonna go straight to Ontario here because when you type in haunted places or haunted like ghost stories in Ontario, one of the first ones that pop up is good old-fashioned Ghost Road. Port Perry.
Of course, which I have still yet to go to.
We will go.
Down the friggin' street from me.
I know, literally, you could probably throw a rock and hit it. Anyway. Ghost Road is located on Scugog Island. So you go up Island Road, you go past, Scugog Shores Museum Village, another haunted place. But so you go past that and you turn right down like Pine Point Road and you go down and then you'll notice it clears out a bit and you'll see a giant rock. And, luckily the locals have painted Ghost Road on that rock. Like literally it says Ghost Road. You can't miss it.
Perfect.
Anyways, the actual road is called Mississauga's Trail and it is literally a dirt road. So you have to remember that this part of Scugog was all inhabited by indigenous peoples, more specifically the Mississaugas of Scugog. And it's always been native land, and natives already have their own beliefs on death and the afterlife and spirits and all that, right? So that's already there. Now, the first white settlers didn't land in that area until like the early 1800s or so. And then they started to build up, and obviously more and more came to the island and started to farm and live and all that. Now, it does not look like the way it looks today is not how it used to look. The causeway that crosses over Lake Scugog there wasn't always just a nice bridge. It was literally planks of wood that floated on the water. Crossing that in your automobile or on your horse-drawn carriage, because not a chance in hell would I have. Yeah, no. Anyways,
people can't even cross over the causeway. There's accidents there so often,
all the time. all the time, because they allow people to pass on that, and they shouldn't. But anyways, that's a different topic. So the story goes with Ghost Road is the headless motorcycle rider. Now, there's nothing to confirm, but there's nothing to deny that this person existed.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So basically what the story goes is that back in the day, the land was owned by farmers, and they just divided their property with fence. So most of the time it was just barbed wire fence, or just like the metal like fence lines. So the story is that this gentleman was on his motorcycle. So this is about 1950s now. I wouldn't put it any more than 1960s.
Mm-hmm.
But sometime in the 1950s, maybe even 1940s. And this gentleman was speeding down this dirt road on his motorcycle. Now, there are two stories to this. Both of them have him speeding down the road. One has him driving right into one of those wired fences, and it
My God,
gets his head, which
Mhm.
then falls off and hits the rock, and it's gone.
Okay.
The second story is he speeds down that road. He's going south on it. There is a willow tree. I think it's a willow tree about so many yards away from this rock. And this is where he starts to speed wobble and lose control of his bike, which by the time he hits the corner, he is now off his bike and his head hits the rock and it's gone.
So either way, his head is hitting this rock.
Yes. Either way, his head is hitting this rock, whether it is still attached to his body or not.
Okay.
So nobody knows who this gentleman is. Nobody knows if he existed, if he didn't, or what. But people do know is that if they go out to Ghost Road, they do see the light of a motorcycle and they hear it. And they will see it go by, apparently. Go by them, and they see the tail light of the motorcycle, and then it just disappears. So that is the story of that. Now, you also have to remember, again, you're on Indigenous land.
Mhm.
There are lots of tales, and there are also been reports for many, many, many years, even before this accident, of ghost lights, which they attributed to swamp gas.
Okay.
So it's a thing. It's a thing. Look it up, everybody. It's actually a real thing. And then some people have said that it was lights coming from from quarter mile or something that's like apparently directly across from it, like way out in the boonies. And I'm thinking, no, that's not how it is.
Mhm.
That doesn't make sense to me. So, but I have seen a light out there.
Oh, I was gonna ask you if you've seen it or heard it.
It was not a motorcycle light. I can tell you that. It's also, I should tell everybody, it's also a dumping ground for bodies. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's because it's like pretty secluded and it's pretty marshy, so you just offload and go.
I'm assuming not anymore, because I would imagine it's so popular now. Everyone's always there.
No. Just ask Ryan.
Of course. He will know.
I think it's always been a dumping ground. We did have a psychic come out with us one time, and she did point out that there was a body of a girl buried in the bush. Needless to say, we did get stopped by the cops out there because it's a party place, right?
Right.
So of course, they're looking to bust everybody, but we got stopped by the cop. Well, we didn't get stopped there. We got stopped at the Tim Hortons in Port Perry, and they were asking us questions. And she's like, "I'm a psychic. There's a girl out there, and she says she's buried in the woods. Would you like me to take you to her?" And they looked, and they're like, "Nope, we're good."
Way to go, cops. Oh, a dead body out there? Sounds like paperwork. Not today.
Nope, not going in the woods. But yeah, no. But the one time we were out there, we had just driven up and down the road. Nobody was there. We'd stopped for a bit. A car went by us, like to go down the road because it is popular. And we were like, okay, we'll just go down the street and we'll turn around and we'll just come back. And we turned around, we come back, and we stop at the end of the road where the rock is, and we could see down the road, and we're like, holy crap, what's that big, huge, bright light? Like, it was like massive, right? And we're like, what the heck? And we're like, this doesn't feel right. So maybe we should just leave. So we left. We started going. And we're just putting down the road. And the car that was on Ghost Road came up behind us and blew by us and doing like Mach 5. They were
oh my
gone.
God.
So God knows what that was. I wouldn't put it past being something a little UFO-ish. But
Really?
I don't know. But that's Ghost Road for you. So that's one of the most famous haunted places in this part of town.
Well, I should have done a story on this one. It's very similar to, we have something similar, Roseneath Way.
Mhm.
So it's very exactly the same story. The guy got decapitated, but there's also Weird Willie's grave up that way. It's basically in and around the same area. Have you heard about Weird Willie?
No, I have not. Now I want to know.
Okay, so off of Beagle Road, I think it's called. If you head past, so sort of, you're heading towards Roseneath. So you get off at Coburg, but then you're gonna go like north,
45,
whatever.
yeah.
You keep going past Centerton, which is where I used to live, and I think it's called Beagle something Road. I should know. I used to live there. Anyways, you turn up there, and it is like, there's houses there now, but back in the day, there was like nothing. It was just woods, and it got thicker and thicker and dense. And then off of one of the little roads, nothing's around, and then there's just a cemetery. Boom, out of nowhere. In the middle of the cemetery is one of those obelisks. No, what are those called?
An obelisk?
Yeah, almost correct. One of those headstones.
It's funny when I hear you're doing this. And
I know, I'm like,
what
you know what,
talking
I'm
about?
YMCA things. And it has this inscription on it, and I should have looked it up because it's really cool. But it's like, basically, anybody that passes by, think of me or you must die. I was taken before my prime. Think of me while you still have the time. Something along these lines. Like, it's a really bizarre thing. And the guy's name's William something. So he was called Weird Willie because the story was he was just this really creepy, weird man who lived in the woods. Rumors were that he used to kidnap, abuse, and murder children and bury them. And so the townsfolk eventually caught up with him. They tortured and murdered him, decapitated him, and they buried his body, but the head was never found and they never gave it. So he apparently wanders these back roads trying to find his head, and he has a lantern and you're supposed to see the lantern, but he's also kind of like curse type thing. So if you go down there, you gotta like pay respects to his grave and you gotta say, hey, Weird Willie. So there is the grave. I have read it. It's really interesting. He was only about 18 when he died. I've never really looked into it, so this would be something you could do. I'll give you the info.
Yeah, give me the info.
Because
all the time in the world right now.
Right. I'm not really sure how this young man died or what his backstory was. He could just be some innocent person, but it's a very strange inscription on a headstone. It's not like beloved son, blah, blah. It's like, I was taken way before I should, and you better watch out. Like, it's a very popular destination for young kids. Because it's just surrounded, well, it was, I don't know now, it was just woods, like creepy, very creepy, horror movie type woods. Like when you're out there, you're like,
take Ryan.
Yes. Now I was there not too long ago. I think I took my kids with me too. That sounds about right. And there is a house semi close by, because suddenly we could hear like people talking, and I'm like, ooh. And then we could see through the bushes there was like a house back there. So that was fairly new. This was probably a good 5 or 6 years ago now. So I'll have to find out exactly where it is. I mean, obviously the cemetery is still there and stuff, but I'll send you the info on it, and then yeah, you can look him up.
Sweet.
I have photos of his grave somewhere, but it's funny how those stories start and you don't know where. And the fact that he has this weird sort of grave too, I don't know. It's weird.
Guess we're just gonna have to go find out now.
Yeah. But that kind of is a good segue into my actual story, because this is based in Ontario. It's the Baldoon Settlement. So this is located near what present day Wallaceburg is, which is southern Ontario. It was conceptualized by Lord Selkirk, who imported 15 families plus some sheep from his hometown of Scotland. I didn't write that down. Whoops. He had this vision that he wanted to create basically Scotland, but here in Ontario. So they all arrived September 5th, 1804. But what he didn't realize is this was low-lying swampland, which made it really difficult to not only cultivate, but for sheep and crops to survive. So everything just kept dying. So disease would routinely like sweep through the entire community. In 1812, the Americans invaded and most of the people left. And so the I want to call him Lord Farquhar, and I don't know why. Anyways, Lord Selkirk stole his property. One of the original families, John MacDonald, stayed sort of in the general area, and he decided he was going to try and make a go of it. But he had trouble from the absolute get-go. In 1829, some of the women in the little community were in the local barn. They were, weaving, chit-chatting, spilling the tea. And all of a sudden, 3 poles from the roof came crashing down, nearly killing them. They obviously ran out screaming, "What?" stuff. And then when people came in to have a look, they could not fathom how these poles had come away and had fell in such a way that it was like dagger stabbed into the ground. This was the start of things. From then on, it was unexplained sounds heard all hours of the night, in the forest surrounding them, in their homes, footsteps thundering around the house while everyone was sleeping. They would go and look. They could never find anybody. A baby was violently rocked from side to side in a cradle by an invisible force to the point that they had to rescue the baby. Fires would randomly start throughout the entire property. One day, as much as a dozen started on the same day. Rocks, leaves, twigs, and it says bullets were thrown at the exterior of the house by unseen forces. Windows were shattered and broken without explanation. By the late 1830s, the rumors of this house had sort of got out to the local communities. And so now people came in flocks to see the property. And even a newspaper article was, or a newspaper story was created to document it all. This might sound familiar. A local priest was called upon to do an exorcism of the property. But what a surprise, it only made things worse.
Oh my God.
So a local gifted woman came to see the house. She was drawn to it, and she said the activity all stemmed from a curse that was put onto the property by an old woman from the 1820s. Apparently, she had something to do with the original settlement, and it was something to do with, she claimed that it was her land or something. There was a discrepancy. She was basically booted off, and she cursed everything. They're not really sure what events or rituals had been performed, but something happened, and then all of a sudden, all of the poltergeist activity stopped, and they're like, "Oh, everything's good." And then almost 100 years to the date, in 1930, the building spontaneously combusted and burnt down to the ground. Dun, dun, dun. Now, it is still a really popular site. People still flock there. I don't think there is a building, but I think there's like, the area is still kind of, that things were there. And when people go, they say that they hear phantom sounds, they still see shadow figures on the outskirts, and objects and stones are often thrown at bystanders when they go to look.
I want to go get hit with a stone.
I know. I'm like, really? The whole bullets thing. I'm like, what the?
You
That's
sure
like
it
someone
wasn't
shooting
American?
at your house.
Like, are you sure it wasn't the Americans still at that point? You know?
Yeah, or a hunter who
Yeah. Missed his mark. A few
imagine.
times.
Oh gosh.
Oh
So
Lord. But
yeah.
that kind of reminds me of the one of these ones I'm gonna talk about here. It's kind of a similar. It's called the Dag poltergeist.
Oh,
And this began on September 15th. Why did everything beginning in September?
I know. I don't know.
September 15th, 1889, on a farm located 10 kilometers from Shawville, Quebec. So so when I'm reading some of this, it's like sometimes it talks about like Ottawa and then sometimes it talks about Quebec. So I'm wondering if it's like right on the borderline.
Mm,
So this farm was owned by George and Susan Dag. Now,
okay.
George and Susan had 3 children at that time. They had Eliza, and she was 4. They had Mary, who was 3, and baby John.
Okay.
They also had adopted a child from Scotland, and her
It's
name
the
was,
Scottish.
I know, her name was Dina, and she was 11. So this
Interesting.
is, but you can see where this is going. When Dina was present, there were often unexplained spontaneous fires. Objects flew around the property controlled by an invisible force.
Mm-hmm.
Stones were thrown through windows. A harmonica.
Oh, uh-huh.
I did not, that's not on purpose.
That's
Harmonica
amazing.
played on its own. And an empty rocking chair would rock back and forth. At one point, family members and neighbors heard a deep, gruff voice that sounded like an old man in the house and outside of the house. This voice would answer questions and was heard by everyone.
Okay.
I wish that would happen when we're investigating.
No kidding.
So, like I said, Dina was adopted from Scotland. She was actually an orphan, so she had no real parents. They were already gone. She was literally blamed for the disturbances, and eventually she was sent away to Fairknow Home in Brockville, which was another orphanage.
See, I was fully like, it's Gina.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, I'm like,
it
that's who it was.
just keeps going. But anyways, this voice apparently that everyone heard, this voice claimed to be a man who died in 1869 at 80 years old. He gave his name to George and his brother Willie Dag, but forbid them to share it with anyone. Not at all friggin' suspicious, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, 17 farmers and community leaders, which included, like Reeves and clergy members, signed witness statements to the unusual sightings and voices heard at the Dag farm in the fall of 1889. So they all signed witness statements saying that they heard this. They heard this voice.
Wow.
Anyways, during this time, Eliza, the 4-year-old daughter, died mysteriously during this poltergeist visit. Yeah. So the local lore that goes around was saying that she was playing near a cauldron of soap when her clothing caught fire and she burned to death.
Oh my God.
I could probably find out if that's true or not. I should probably look.
Yeah. Hmm.
So basically, and I found this too, so I'm unsure where this fits because I don't know if they sent Dina to the orphanage in Brockville and then got her back, but it was said that at one point, Dina went to her Uncle Willie's house, so Willie Dag's house, and a man came to the door with a note from George, so her adopted dad, asking that Dina come home. So the man apparently left with Dina and she was never heard from again. The ghost also left with her.
So it was the ghost that went there? Well, probably not, just a pedophile that picked her up and took her, but oh.
But apparently after this disturbance, the family returned to normal. The whole ordeal lasted about 3 months. But it's still big news.
Yikes. So stuff was still happening after she had been kicked out.
No, it stopped once she disappeared.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you meant she got sent off to be adopted or to the orphanage, and then they were like, just kidding, come back. And then
That's what I think. But that's what it
never
said. I
made it
think they
back.
sent her off to the orphanage in Brockville.
Mm-hmm.
And then she came back. That's what it sounds like. Now, it could be that they got her from the orphanage of Brockville.
Right.
But that's what the reports that I was reading, my research. I'm gonna find. I'll post the actual link to like the whole page because the page has so many like newspaper clippings from this. So like it made the news.
Right.
So you can see like all the newspaper clippings and everything. It's a really actually cool web page. So I thought that was cool. But those prepubescent girls, man, they just bring in those poltergeists. And I don't understand. I never asked. When I created this, I didn't realize that this dude was playing a harmonica. Like, this is just.
I know. Is that like a Canadian thing? Alanis Morissette plays one.
It's a harmonica. I thought that was like the Deep South with banjos.
Yeah, I did too. But maybe not. Maybe that's.
I don't know. I don't know. But yeah. So that's the Dag poltergeist.
Well, that's kind of sad.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's move on.
I was gonna say, would you like a happy story? Like, I don't think any of this stuff is happy.
No, is there a happy one about ghosts? No. This is no better, really. Here we go. So this is the Empress Hotel in Victoria, BC. Built in the early 1900s, Victoria needed an iconic hotel to be part of the Canadian Pacific Railway's big dream to build a chateau-style hotel across Canada. Celebrated architect Francis Rattenberry was hired to make this dream a reality. Construction began in 1904 and the Empress opened in 1908. It is 8 floors, 21,000 square feet, and 431 luxurious rooms and suites. It was designated as a National Historic Site in 1981. In 1909, so basically within the first year that it opened, there was a chambermaid named Lizzie McGrath. She had just turned 18, and this was kind of her very first job. She was cleaning one of the rooms and realized what time it was at night and that she needed to do her night prayers. So she ventured out onto the fire escape of one of the 6th floor rooms. But unfortunately, the fire escape railings were not secured at that time, and the whole thing broke and she plummeted to her death. When they found her, she was still clutching her rosary beads. So they were like, she was praying all the way down. I'm like, yeah, she wouldn't have time to do much of anything. So they'd be like, that would be it. Anyways, since then, she is the most famous, one of the most famous ghosts that haunt this place. People see her, sense her, and hear her all the time. She's often seen walking along the 4th floor. Sometimes they hear her like whimpering, and sometimes they hear her praying. There was also an old woman who had been staying at the hotel who died of natural causes on the 6th floor as well. So something's up with the 6th floor. After her death, she was seen many times. Guests would complain of seeing her and then she would fade away. Eventually, her room was completely locked and no one was ever allowed to go back in there. And then eventually they made it into an elevator. So her room turned into where the elevator shaft was. Since then, when people are in the elevator, they hear knocking and tapping, and the 2 rooms either side also hear scratching and knocking. And then there is Francis Rattenberg himself. Now, this is a really interesting story. So he was the architect for the thing. He was born in Leeds, England in 1867. He became an architect's apprentice at age 17. 1891, he left for Canada, arriving in BC, and he had great success, obviously, because he was asked to design and build this hotel. He met and married Florence Eleanor Nunn in 1898. In 1899, they had a child named Francis B. Rattenberry. 1904, they had another child who was Mary. And then things took kind of a shit turn. And by 1923, their marriage was kind of falling apart. He then met a musician named Alma Hokenham. She was only 27 and he was 56. We can kind of figure where this is going. By 1924, Francis and Florence divorced and he married Alma. This was her third marriage. This was a really long story. I think there was some things that happened with her first two husbands, but I'm not going to go into that for now. So obviously gossip spread like wildfire about this affair between Francis and Alma, and people favored Florence and basically were like, you're a piece of shit because you've left her high and dry with two children. And so Francis's business started to suffer. So he ended up fleeing back to England to escape the drama. They had a son together. And for the next 6 years or so, they just started, things obviously didn't work out. He thought, oh, a younger woman, nope, turned to shit. And they started sleeping in separate rooms and basically just living estranged lives in the same house. In 1934, they hired a servant, 17-year-old George Stoner. After he turned 18, he and Alma began a relationship. She was 37. However, Francis was well aware. So people thought that it was like a taboo affair. He was like, have at it. I'm an old man now. If you want to poke my wife, I don't want her. She's all good. So in the spring of 1935, Francis was found murdered in his living room chair. It was so bad, people thought that there was like stones on the floor. It was his teeth and fragments of his brain and skull. That's how much they bashed the shit out of his head. So long story short, both Alma and George were arrested, but they took pity on Alma and found her innocent. And George was found guilty. Out of grief and guilt, Alma then committed suicide. She wrote this note basically like, oh, I'm so sorry. And I think she flung herself into a river. And shortly after that, George was released.
Oh my God.
Anyways, but since then, Francis's spirit has been seen many times in the Empress Hotel. They often see a man sporting an old-fashioned jacket, walking around proudly, sometimes admiring the architect before he disappears. So they think he returned there because it was like his first sort of beloved place. And that's where he feels most at home after having his head bashed in.
His teeth knocked out.
Jesus
Christ. My God. That's brutal.
It was.
Well, let's talk about another murdered individual.
Good. I've got a couple too.
So this is on the Toronto Island. It's Hanlan's Point, so it's kind of near the clothing optional beach. It's the Gibraltar Lighthouse. Oh, I have been there. I got the big old skeleton key and I got to unlock it and lock it. Yeah, it was cool. So we investigated that place. We investigated it. That's why when I sent you that thing earlier, I was like, I love reading articles from 2018 that I didn't even know I was mentioned in.
I know. And what's funny is I had that written down to like research. So I'm glad you sent me that because I would have had the same story.
Anyways, so the lighthouse was built in 1808, and it is actually the oldest building of its kind still standing on the Great Lakes and the second oldest in all of Canada.
Oh, wow.
Pretty cool. It was decommissioned in the late 1950s, and then it was given to the city of Toronto, which they've kind of turned into it's like a historic place. They open it every once in a while to let people tour. It's literally you walk in, you walk up all those wooden stairs to the top. That's pretty much it. That's all there is.
Oh, wow.
So the first lighthouse keeper came in 1809 when the lighthouse was officially turned on, and his name was J.P. Radenmuller.
All right.
Yeah. So on January 2nd, 1815, Radenmuller kind of just poof, he disappeared. Nobody knew where he went. All of a sudden, the lighthouse wasn't being manned anymore, and he was gone.
Oh.
So there is legend, and again, this one has two stories because us people here in Ontario don't know. You know, one story sounds good, but another one sounds better.
Mm-hmm.
The legend has it that he was murdered by local soldiers, and that his spirit is now the one that haunts the lighthouse. Now, the first story goes that Rademuller sold the soldiers a batch of liquor that was diluted with water. So when it froze during a long winter march, they realized that they had been scammed and they were pissed. So they returned to that lighthouse for revenge. The second story,
they were pissed.
Back then, that's the only thing that kept you warm in these cold Canadian winters. Especially on Lake Ontario. The second story has Rademuller serving the soldiers at his home, making them, feel welcome and comfortable, because these soldiers were actually stationed at Fort York, which is just right. He made the mistake of trying to shut things down early. So he wanted to go to bed, get out of my house, closing time. And that led to a deadly fight with him losing. Now, with both of those stories, they have these soldiers literally dismembering this man and burying him somewhere in the vicinity of the lighthouse.
Holy shit.
Now, a few years after this, one of the new lighthouse keepers actually did dig up a set of human bones nearby. Now, could this have been Rademuller? Maybe. But the Toronto Islands were also native burial ground, so it could have been an indigenous person. But yeah. So that is the story of that. But now people see an apparition of a man heading up to the lighthouse. There's bangs and thumps that are heard around the lighthouse that are really out of place. People have said they've captured orbs of swirling light and an ethereal mist. But then again, you're on the island, so you're surrounded by water anyways, and swampland. So
exactly.
They hear strange echoes in the tower, which is pretty interesting. But
is there no way to DNA test those bones? I don't know if they'd have to get family members of that guy.
But in the 1800s, they probably just put them back in the ground and went, oops.
Oh, they don't have them somewhere? Oh, okay.
I don't think so. They probably just reinterred them somewhere and was like, whoopsies.
No kidding.
My bad. Not like we do nowadays where we're like, well, better figure out who these belong to.
Which leads to a good point that they might not have actually even been human bones.
Oh no, they said they
just said it was.
They said no. They said it was like a piece of a jaw. Like you could tell it was like
okay.
Like some really discernible human bone fragments and stuff like that. It wasn't like a full body. It was just like bits and pieces. So
well, yeah, if they dismembered him.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And then I will go on about this one now. So this is the ghost of Maudine Riley at the Old Grace Hospital, which is in Calgary, Alberta.
Okay.
So this takes place in the maternity wing. All right.
Oh dear.
So let's just start off with a little history. So the hospital originally opened, I had to look at my notes here, in 1926. So it's not super old. It's
right.
Years old. And it was an extension to the Salvation Army's work helping unwed mothers. So it was literally pretty much a maternity hospital. The hospital closed the building, I believe, in the 1990s, and then it's still being used today as a maternity clinic. So it's still helping babies. All right.
That's
so
nice.
Now you have the story of Maudine Riley. Now, again, here's another one. 2 stories. They don't know who really this person actually could be. So again, this takes place in the maternity wing, not ring. So Maudine's family was apparently the owner of the property on which the hospital was constructed on. She supposedly passed away while giving birth, and in doing so, the baby passed away as well. It is said that her spirit takes up residence in the maternity unit, and she has been seen cradling her baby.
Aww.
Right? Or could this be Maud Keene Riley? So Maud Keene Riley actually grew up in Perth County, Ontario. She married a Harold Riley in 1907, and they had 3 children. So during one of her deliveries, both her and the baby almost died, and this was when Maud made a pledge to herself. She would always look out for the well-being of children and their families on whom they were raised. So she made this her life. She was going to help out babies and their families. It was actually Maud's determination that led to the establishment of a number of social services that in Alberta that are now standard out there. So it's kind of cool.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
She did die unexpectedly in 1962, and it might be her that is roaming the halls, helping still, or cradling babies.
Aww.
I know. That was kind of a nice one.
That was. And because at first when you were like maternity ward, I'm like, oh no. But I like that one.
Happy babies, no murders.
Excellent. So I have 2 left. I don't know if we have time for both.
I still have one left.
Okay, I'll speak really fast. We'll do this one first. Yeah. This is the Green Lady of Victoria Hall, Coburg, Ontario. So my old stomping grounds. So since the 1980s, the legend of this apparition has been told. So Coburg, which was founded in the wake of the American Revolution by United Empire Loyalists, is located on Lake Ontario, basically right between Kingston and Toronto. By the mid-1800s, Grand Trunk Railway decided to build a railway connecting Montreal with Toronto, which transformed Coburg into a regional transportation hub. The Coburg-Peterborough Railroad was completed first in December 1854. In an effort to compete with Coburg, the neighboring town of Port Hope built a railroad that crossed Rice Lake, which is about 3 miles wide, and basically is between Peterborough and Coburg. So Port Hope was just like, well, we need to do something fancy too. So they built this 3-mile wide wooden bridge across the lake. On New Year's Day in 1855, 3 days after the new bridge had been built by the Port Hope people, the wooden bridge just couldn't handle the ice and basically started to collapse. So it went back under construction for 2 more years. Now, in 1856, Coburg decided to build a massive town hall, a grand civic building worthy of the next great metropolis, because Coburg was supposed to be a big deal.
No.
It didn't quite make it, but it was supposed to be.
You want to know my thoughts on I'll tell you my thoughts on Coburg afterwards.
Okay. So Hivis Tully, I don't know if that's how you say it, was the architect to build and complete, and it was completed in 1860. 700,000 square feet, located on King Street, just north of the lake. It is 3 stories, an E-shaped design, capped with a very impressive clock tower. Think Back to the Future. That's exactly what it looks like. The inside courtrooms were modeled after London's historic Old Bailey Criminal Court of England. Of course, the whole Victoria Hall was named after Queen Victoria. Now, the crowning glory was a 1,000-seat concert hall, which I think is still used today. We'll just line say it. Whatever.
Or go find out.
Exactly. So Queen Victoria's 19-year-old son, Albert, visited September 7th, 1860, which basically thus began their yearly visit. So the royals always come to visit Canada. And I don't know if they still go to Coburg because it's Coburg, but they do come to Canada every year. During Albert's visit, he basically took a fancy to this woman who was there. Her name was Mrs. Parks, and they danced the night away. And 9 months later, she gave birth to a son named Archie, who resembled Albert very much. Now, it was never proved that he is of royal blood, but apparently he would get vast amounts of money deposited into his bank account every so often. Anyways.
The joys of being an illegitimate child.
Exactly. So upon leaving Coburg and heading towards Peterborough, Albert and his posse of people were traveling to Peterborough. They reached the infamous wooden bridge constructed by Port Hope and were like, I don't think so, and made the train stop. They departed the train and they carried on the rest of the way by ferry. Stating just that they wanted a nice boat ride, but secretly we all know because it was a ship. That's why. So the hall then, I'm sorry, during the Fenian raids, Fenian raids. The Victoria Hall served as the armory for the 1st and 2nd, 4th Battalion during the 1860s and 70s of World War One. The hall has seen many legal battles and criminal cases. Many visitors who now go there witness disembodied voices, footsteps, yelling, and doors rattling when they are in the courtroom area. Since the 1980s, many have witnessed a woman apparition wandering the hallways and then disappears. She seems to be in some green dress. They don't really know who she is. She appears to favor the concert hall mostly, so they see her a lot, especially backstage. But she does tend to wander around the washrooms, turning lights and taps on and off, which would be really annoying. If you're in there and the lights go out, that's a pain in the ass. Ghostly footsteps and that ominous feeling of being watched throughout the whole building. It is a stunning, stunning building. I went to 2 proms there. You're welcome. Yep, that's right. And it is a really great, I can't actually remember. I remember my 2nd prom. But it's really nice in Coburg because everyone waits outside the town hall and you get to drive up to the front part and then you get out of your vehicle and there's a red carpet and they have the town crier and they announce you. And then you feel like paparazzi. Everyone's taking pictures and you're like, At least that's what happened in the 90s when I graduated.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was really pretty. I don't know that it's necessarily open to the public to, I don't know if they would do ghost
It's a municipal building, so it is open to the public. But
I meant for like ghost tours and stuff. I don't know. I'm sure there's like a haunted walk of Coburg, which would be on it, but
there was a haunted walk of Coburg, and they.
Are we getting to your story? Tell us what happened.
Oh,
why do you not like Coburg?
Nothing good ever comes out of Coburg.
Except yours truly. Although I technically didn't live in Coburg.
No. I've heard horror stories and seen things that, nothing. No.
It's not okay. It used to be this again, mid-90s. It was a place for either retired people or people with young families. Not a place for teenagers. No, now anymore. Everywhere's gone to shit now.
It's worse. You think it's bad here? You think it's bad in Oshawa? Just go to Coburg. Anyways, that's just what we say, everybody.
Poor Coburg. It used to be so nice. Anyways, do you want to do yours or do you want me to finish mine?
Well, it's up to you. Is yours mine's not like mine's about a doll, so
Oh, well, do yours and then I'll do mine because mine's kind of 3 stories into one.
Okay, so this is about Mandy. She's a doll from, and I'm probably going to butcher this name. Is it Quesnel, British Columbia? It's in the Quesnel Museum. If I'm saying it wrong, somebody please correct me because anyways. Mandy arrived at the museum in 1991. She's close to, if not, over 100 years old. When she arrived, she had been locked in a trunk for many years.
Oh dear.
Just like
poor Mandy.
Literally unboxed like Pandora's box, right? Anyways, she gained notoriety pretty much almost immediately upon being unboxed. When she arrived, they did take her out, obviously. They had to assess her, and they were photographing her for the collections, right? Because they do that for anything that comes in. They photograph, they reference, all that kind of stuff. Anyways, they left her out overnight in their lab. And when they returned the next day, they found the lab was in such a mess that the best way to describe it was as if a child had had a temper tantrum. And
Mandy's
lost her. Anyways, so that was their first inkling that something wasn't right. So they decided that when they put her in her case, they would put a stuffed lamb, a little stuffed doll, in with her so she would have some company. Well, it turns out she didn't like that stuffed lamb because they found it on the floor outside of her locked cage. No, she probably get along really well with Robert.
Yeah.
Guess what, though? She did travel. She went to New York because she was a guest on the Montel Williams show, and I guess you could see where this is going. In April of 1999, she traveled to New York and she met Sylvia Browne.
Oh, gosh. Good old Sylves.
Well, Sylvia Browne believed...
honey, the land. That's a Sylvia Browne reference.
Sylvia Browne believed that this doll had belonged to twins who had died of polio. The mother's grief over the loss of her children was implanted in this doll. And this is the energy that the visitors feel.
Okay.
And that's what she had to say about the doll. Anyways, so, Mandy went back to the Quesnel Museum and put back in her case, and she is there, and people still experience weird shit around her today.
Well, then.
And that's the story of Mandy.
But she doesn't like curse people or whatever.
She's not like Robert. She's not like Robert. But I still think you have to ask to take her picture and all that kind of stuff, though. But that's just what you should do to anybody. You shouldn't just be snapping photos of people. You want to talk about creepy?
I wonder, so these dolls that they have that do these things, why can't we kind of put them all in a room together and let them battle it out?
Fight Club?
Yeah, kind of.
Nobody talks about Fight Club.
Not even battle it out per se, but just see what happens. If they've all got these things going on.
And monitor it from the DVR camera system.
Yeah,
I'd almost be terrified to see what would happen. We would come back and things would be missing arms and legs. Or there would be arms and legs on different dolls, different body parts, mashed together.
Maybe. I don't know. Because, they all seem to be behind casing. Annabelle is locked away. Robert is locked away.
Yeah, Mandy's locked away.
Robert he's locked away for his safety, not for ours, so they say. I guess because he's very old and people are trying to touch him all the time. But Annabelle, I guess, is locked away for our safety. But would you have to unleash them all? I don't know. It would be exciting. It would be like if you let scorpions loose together. Do they all fight it out, or are they just fuck you, and they just go? I don't know. But you would think that, I say we do it. I say we test it.
Let's go find a bunch of haunted dolls and throw them in a room, or throw them in a closet. Yeah. Even better, smaller space.
Or maybe they just really enjoy hanging. I'd be like, oh, finally, someone I can talk to.
Well,
Who
what about all
gets,
the?
who
Well,
gets
I
it?
guess I was gonna say, what about all the dolls at Wildwood? But they're all at Wildwood, so like you'd have to get dolls from like haunted dolls from like different places. Can't be from the same place because yeah.
But I mean, I bought those
Let's be
dolls,
honest.
not that they were haunted dolls, but I bought dolls. Like, that's another thing. Is there like in Wildwood? I thought this before. I'm like, is there one or two dominant ones? It's like my chickens. So you've got one who kind of rules the roost, and then you've got her minions who are like her bodyguards, and then everyone else is
Mean Girls.
just the people. Yeah. So when I bring in another chicken or another turkey or something, she's the first one to determine what happens. So is there that kind of hierarchy with the dolls? Like when I took those dolls to Wildwood, when we left, did they get put through the ringer? I don't know.
Probably. Probably.
It's like a Toy Story 3 or 4 situation where you've got like the main dolls that
We should just do an entire episode on that.
done.
Haunted Doll Fight Club.
Love it. All right, let me get through my stories because they're not that long, but they are. So the last one, of course, is the ghosts of University of Toronto. Now, the University of Toronto is not just like a university. This spans approximately 24.4 million square feet in total because there are 3 campuses. The largest, of course, is the St. George campus in Toronto. Then there's the Mississauga campus and the Scarborough campus. 6 buildings are allegedly the most haunted. I was going to do all 6, but I'm not. I'm just going to read 3. So the very first one is the University of Toronto. I didn't write down what one. Oh, this is the University College. So this has 2 infamous ghosts, which are seen very often. That would be Ivan Reznikov and Paul Diabolos. Butchered those names. Anyways, let's carry on. So here goes the story. So one cold night, a student named Alan, don't write his last name down, was walking through the campus when he saw a very large burly man with a beard on the University College steps. He said in a very heavy Russian accent, his name was Ivan Reznikov. Alan, not really thinking much of it, was like, do you want to come in and warm up while you wait for whoever it is you're waiting for? So the 2 went inside, they start talking. Ivan exclaimed, I was murdered 30 years ago. At that point, you're probably like, okay, you're one of those, get out. But no, Alan's like, yeah, tell me the story. So he said in 1856, he was a stonemason constructing the university building with a Greek co-worker named Paul Diabolos. They became very good friends, and Paul met Ivan's fiancée, Susie. Before too long, Ivan realized Paul and Susie were a little bit friendly, and believed that something was up. And so he began spying on them and eventually did catch them in the act. So Ivan, furious, ran home, grabbed an axe and a knife, and came rushing back. Paul, who saw him coming, ran into the construction zone. A fight kind of ensues. They're tussling around. Ivan swings the axe and it gets lodged in one of the heavy oak doorways. Oh, sorry, I just
What
disappeared.
are you doing again?
No, it's because I'm getting a phone call.
Jerks. Oh my god, she left!
And I'm back. The ghost got me.
Oh, damn it, Ivan! Or was it Paul?
So, well, you'll find it in a second. So the axe got lodged in the door frame. Ivan then chased Paul all the way up to the top of the tower. They fight a little bit more, but eventually Paul got the upper hand and he pushed Ivan off and he fell to his death. Paul, after coming down, hid Ivan's body in the construction zone, and then he and Susie fled Toronto. Ivan the ghost then vanished from Alan's dorm. And so Alan was like, maybe I should look this up and see if this is a real guy. He indeed found information on both Alan and Paul. They were both stonemakers. He found a picture of them both. In 1890, a fire destroyed parts of that tower, and they did actually find partial human skeleton remains and a belt buckle that belonged to Ivan. The mark on the door frame apparently is still there of an axe that splintered the door frame. I don't know how true that is, but apparently these people existed. The next building that's very haunted is the Trinity College. In 1851, Bishop Johannes Strachan founded the school. He passed away November 1st, 1867. His ghost has been seen wearing his bishop's hat and robe, roaming the halls almost daily ever since. The school's chapel has a ghost of a gray lady who has been seen many, many times, including by the priest, who actually had a conversation with this person until she stormed off. And he was like, why are you so angry with me? And he chased her down only to find out she didn't exist. Between Trinity and St. Hilda's College, there were tunnels underneath that the students used to use to go from building to building. A man has been spotted down there numerous times, hiding in and along the route. Rumor has it that he was bricked up during the construction, though it's not being confirmed. And there's also a rumor that he's some sort of weird cave dweller guy and will snatch an unsuspecting child or student, I should say, and drags them back into his cave or lair. Like, okay. And finally, Massey College. So this opened in 1963. It was owned by Canadian novelist and playwright William Robertson Davis. He once wrote a comedic ghost story at an annual Christmas party, which joked about the ghost of Massey College. He then did one every year up until his retirement in 1981. They were actually like really sought after and hilarious, apparently. In 1982, he was asked to turn it into, they took all 18 of those stories and made it into like a published ghost story book. In 1995, Robertson Davis was asked to make a play about all of these stories, and he died 1 week before the performance was scheduled to perform. After his death, the building has just exploded with all kinds of weird, strange noises. Students would lose their things only to find them again elsewhere throughout the building. People have seen ghostly shadows. They hear loud crashes with no explanation to it, kind of like Wildwood, lots of footsteps and doors slamming. And it was said that on his deathbed, William jokingly said, I love this place so much, I want to come back here as a ghost to keep the tradition of my stories alive. And apparently he has. So if you want to go to school and get ghosters, there you go. University of Toronto.
And I'm pretty sure Haunted Walks does a University of Toronto Haunted Walks.
Yes, a lot of information is on the Haunted Walk websites. I just have to go turn the outside light on. Continue. I'm listening.
Well, yeah, no. So I know Haunted Walks does do that. They have one there. They also have one in Queens and in Kingston as well, where it's quite different than their like regular Haunted Walks because they just focus on like the buildings of Queens and like things. So I'm sure the Haunted Walk one in Toronto is the exact same, where they take you around the campuses and stuff and to the haunted spots and all that, which is kind of cool.
Definitely. So I'm still here.
I can see. But yeah, those are Canadian ghosts. Some of the famous ones that if you just type in famous Canadian ghosts, they pop up. But yeah. So, but if you've got a Canadian ghost story that we didn't share or is really interesting to you, we'd love to hear it. So send them away.
Yes, please.
We could totally, like, we'll even look into it more and maybe do a whole episode on it. You never know. You never know.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard because I was like, when I type in famous ghosts, like basically 3 come up.
I know.
You have to dig a little deeper. I'm like,
I know, and then you look at them and you're
more
like,
than this.
I think I've already talked about this on a past episode. I had talked about this on a past episode. Damn, we're running out of things to talk about. But yeah. But that means we're just that damn good.
Absolutely.
So, but if, like I said, if you've got a Canadian ghost story, that's, you know, makes your area, like, that's what, you know, your area is known for, and we didn't talk about it, we'd love to know about it. So you can send us your story or your experience or whatever. You can send it to us at our email. So paranormalpodcast@gmail.com. So it's PAREHNORMAL podcast@gmail.com. Or you could send us a message on Facebook, or you can post, because we're going to post about all of these that we talked about with fancy pictures. So you can see a good visual. And you can, you know, send us your experiences or stories on Instagram or Facebook, and heck, even TikTok if you really want to, because we're there too.
TikTok.
About all I have, you know, time for. But yeah, but that's this week's episode, everyone. Thanks for listening. This one actually went on quite a bit longer than normal.
It really did. Sorry, everyone. We got talking about our peeps.
I know, but it's good. Next week's episode is going to be like probably one of my favorite. It was supposed to be a location one, but we didn't get a location in time. So now we're going to be talking about Victorian mourning. And
oh,
yeah, we're going to talk about that, which is kind of actually pretty cool. So
yes,
I got some good stuff for that because I love that stuff.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, and then we should do something fun for our 1 year. I don't even know.
We should go and lay in the hearse at Lang's. That's why I was, when we were there last, that's why I'm like, is this an authentic, like an original hearse? Because if she had said yes, my next question was going to be like, can I go lay in the back? But she was like, no. And I don't know if she said that because she knew what my question was going to be.
Probably did. She's like, listen, I've already given you guys permission to do something that normally we don't do, so let's not push it here.
Yes, it does freak people out a little. It's like when we went to, where was it? King City. And I was like, how do I get my hands on an authentic coffin? And they were like, what the fuck? What the fuck? They didn't know what to say.
Let's start looking.
Yeah. They were just like, well, we get them. I'm like, yeah, you're a museum. How would I get one? She was just like, what?
This is Kaz's advertisement for please send you.
Exactly. Used coffins.
Free. You know how they have like the free metal drop-off bins? We're just gonna have one at front of your place as like free dead drop your dead people's stuff here.
Exactly.
It's accepted.
Not using that coffin anymore. I'll take it.
I'm gonna feel like I feel like I need to go on like Chat GPT and totally make you an advertisement now.
I mean, but the trouble, I don't know.
I'm gonna go write myself a funny story of Kaz's quest to get a coffin.
I would love that.
I'm totally.
I mean, because if you've got a used one, it's probably not going to be in very good shape.
Or it's in perfect shape because they took the person out and cremated them.
Unless I got one from like, I mean, there has to be funeral homes that would have like the display coffin, right? That where you do all the wakes, and eventually they're like, it's looking a bit shitty. Let's get another one on the shop floor. What do they do with that one? You give it to Kaz. Email us at info@paranormalseekers.
Oh my God. Oh, Lord have mercy.
I would take good care of it. I can only imagine what Mark would say when he comes down to the basement. He's like, why the fuck is there a coffin downstairs? And I'd be like, hear me out.
Listen,
Margaret
listen.
wasn't using it anymore.
The funeral home in Dresden bought a coffin and they turned it into a bar. It's a coffin bar.
Mine would be my meditation chamber. Oh, that's a good idea.
The place you go when you don't want to be bothered. You just shut the fucking world out.
Exactly.
Close the lid and leave me for a while.
Where's Kaz? She's meditating in her coffin pod. It's very quiet in there. I love it. But I would do it.
I wonder if they're soundproof. Why are we talking about this now? We need to wait till next week.
Yes, we do. I don't know. We should go do it at a funeral home.
Yeah. I'm sure I could find one.
There's Wags in town here. Hello, your husband's last name.
They're not related.
They're
not related.
It's still an inn. We could be like, oh, we share the same name. Anyways, can we just borrow your backspace for a minute? Imagine we do it sitting in a coffin. Okay. Listen.
We need to do a whole episode. Like we'll do like the Victorian morning episode, and then we'll do like the updated new age version of what people do now.
Yeah.
And we'll do one from a funeral home. And so if you know a funeral home that will let us come in and sit there and talk about this, we're totally down for it. There could even be a dead person. I'm cool with whatever.
Yeah.
Cool with whatever. So yeah.
Look, it's all right.
We're totally down for it. We're totally
and if you have, a coffin that you want to donate.
Heck, we'll even do it in a mausoleum. I'm cool with that too.
Yeah, where's any that's open?
I might be able to get us into one at Union. But
okay.
We'll have to see.
We probably won't have reception in there. That's the only shitty thing.
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah.
Because, they don't have Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Those damn dead people.
All right.
Oh, my God. This strike's getting to me. Anyways, I got lots to do tomorrow now.
Yes.
All right, everyone. You have a great night. And we will see you next week, I guess, for
our 1 year anniversary.
Yeah, on the 13th. Holy crap. Anyways, have a great week. Enjoy the sunshine before it turns to crap. And we will see everybody in Ameliasburg. Well, we will by the time this comes out. And then we will be on to our next investigation. So we're off.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Sweet.
All right. Have a great week, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.